Hey guys, it's Darya, host of the Neighbor Effect podcast and founder of Urban Therapy. I guess you can hear all these voices, bird songs, and noise in the background. This is what I have to deal with in my nomadic lifestyle. Sometimes it's just impossible to find a silent place, especially in a place like Sri Lanka. I hope you enjoy this live soundtrack and sorry for that. Let's dive into our podcast. In our first two episodes, we explored urban design initiatives and the community-driven strategies that change makers are applying in Los Angeles. You can check it out if you listen to our first two episodes. And now we are heading to Chiang Mai, a beautiful city in northern Thailand that attracts digital nomads and travelers from all over the world. It also has a rich local culture, and in the next two episodes we'll explore how local and tourist needs can be balanced and developed in harmony. Today I'm talking to Atùm Sphinx, an American who moved to Chiang Mai 7 years ago and built a life here. I find this conversation especially personal and intimate. We'll discuss how Atùm's way of living shapes the way he builds and nurtures communities, using creative activities to help people feel a deeper sense of belonging and connection in their neighborhoods. We'll also dive into the role of creativity in fostering stronger communities and bringing neighbors closer together. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please feel free to share your feedback, and thanks for listening. Thank you for coming. Can I ask you to pronounce your name, Atùm?
Yeah, I think you said it right. My name's Atùm Sphinx.
Sphinx.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Sphinx. I pronounce it like spinna.
that's
like
why
a vegetable.
I'm not picky with how people pronounce. Some people call me Autumn, things like that, and it's fine. But yeah, my name's Atùm Sphinx.
So can you please tell me about your personal journey? How you how did you get here, living in Chiang Mai, and co-founded your Sphinx Vibe? Sphinx Vibe.
No problem. So in 2017, I was going through what people would say is an awakening. So around that time, I didn't like the situation that I was in America. Where I was living wasn't the safest, based off of different prejudices and things like that. I don't want to be too negative on it because everybody has their own journeys. But for me, that was the message to say, okay, well, maybe you should start thinking other things, or like thinking of ways to get out. So I worked a job. I was selling health insurance, which was a horrible job. I mean, it was a good job for money, but asking people for money while they're sick and old or something like that, it would weigh on my conscience. But I got some money off of that, met my wife around the same time, and I told her, I was like, listen, I have to leave. And she didn't say she believed me, she said, I know. And that's a whole different thing, like knowing versus somebody not saying you're crazy for one, but like to say, oh no, I know. And she said that upon our first time meeting. So I was like, yeah, this is my wife. So she was the one who said Thailand. And I didn't know anything about Thailand at the time. I had regular public school education, American public school education, which is probably the worst. We watched YouTube videos, and we watched some videos of Bangkok and saw walking streets, stuff like that. But we kept being called to Chiang Mai, and there was this one girl, she's actually one of our good friends here. She got us jobs and stuff when we came here. But we watched her videos from the States. Her name's Nami, and she was living in Chiang Mai at the time and everything. So I was like, that's where we should go. And when I came to Thailand, for the first few months, we tried everything. We ate all the food. But then after about the third or fourth month, me and my wife decided to go vegan. And that was a process of helping detox that. But during that time as well, we also secluded ourselves from any real community out here at that time. I've been here now for 7 years. But for the first 3 years, it was just me and my wife in a room, pretty much in our apartments, we were watching world news and all types of stuff like that, and just getting to know each other because we were new to our marriage, as well as just we'd never really been away from the characters that we had to play for the majority of our lives. Like when my wife came, she was after her 30th birthday, and I was just turning 25. And we were trying to decide, who do we want to be? Are these things that I'm hearing and dreaming of, is that really me? Is that some ego self coming up? But ultimately, what we chose to do was, to talk about it truthfully, we ended up doing a plant medicine ceremony, which helped us with that awakening process of trying to understand who we are by looking at ourselves in the past, as well as what we think this illusion of ourselves is.
Yeah.
And that's why I was blessed to do a medicine ceremony with some amazing facilitators here in Thailand, and it sent me on a whole nother journey. But after that ceremony, actually in the middle of that ceremony, because at the time I was, if you know the history of Black Americans, they a lot of them don't have their identity. They don't have their last name. So when I adopted the name Atùm, my original birth last name was Smith. And it's like,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's like you're from the islands, or like my mom and my dad on both sides are very indigenous to the islands they come from, like their family, and their families carry these. I don't want to talk about it in the sense of colonized names or whatever, but it's really what it was. So I came here as Atùm X, like I didn't have a last name. Atùm X is what I went by. And during that ceremony, there's like a break point in between it, where it's kind of like just a rest day, because some psychedelics or medicines can be very strong on the body. And during this rest day, I chose to go to a waterfall. And while I was at the waterfall, I got stung by a bee, like multiple bees. But like as soon as it stung me, it felt like lightning hit me, and the word Sphinx just popped into my head right then. Like, no, I mean, of course, like I like Egypt, I like the history of Atlantis, and Egypt and Atlantis are very connected, whether people know it or not. But I just turned to my wife and I was like, my name's Atùm Sphinx, and she was like, that resonates.
Wow, that's deep.
So after the ceremony, we were called to start helping people in that sense through the same type of process of whether it was medicine ceremonies. And I'm a natural. I was born singing. From I was 2, I used to sing and do music, but I actually stopped for those 3 years when I came here. So the ceremony helped me get back into music. So what I am doing now is I do music circles throughout Chiang Mai. And these music circles are known as kirtan. If you know anything about yoga practices, it's a bhakti yoga practice. And this was brought to me because I didn't know anything about India or anything. Like I said, I had basic American education. Didn't pay for that education much, stuff like that. So I didn't know anything about the actual world or even myself. So after that medicine ceremony, during the ceremony, the shamans were singing these ikaros and these mantras from Hindu spirituality, and I would realize that I would feel better when I would heal, not just in that moment, but if I'm riding my bike or anything like that. If I'm hearing the mantras in my head, I genuinely would feel better. So I started to say, I have to do this more. If it's working like this for me, it's got to be like that for other people. So where one of the places where we were having these ceremonies at was like an Indian ashram, was a temple, but they didn't have the kirtan. I'm like, man, this is a spiritual thing. This is almost like a church. We should have this on a weekly basis. I need it weekly at least. And the owner of the place at the time, or the manager of the place at the time, was just like, yeah, you can do it. So why don't you do it? And I was like, well, all I can do is sing. I don't really. But I was like, I can try. And I picked up the guitar and I started to play. And I did it on a weekly basis, and people started to come in big numbers. And I would watch people literally heal from spiritual trauma, heal from that tension that we were talking about before we started the interview, where it's just like that awkwardness. I would see them come together. I've seen people crying, and it's not to say it was about me like singing or anything, but it's just to be a part of a community, to be in those circles. So specifically the kirtans that we do has foreigners from all over, as well as Thai people come, because it's a free event. If you know about it and you have the time, you're always welcome to come. That's literally how we do it. After that, we started to get introduced to the medicine of cacao, and we started to have the kirtan ceremonies with the cacao. So it would be a cacao ceremony where we still honor the cacao, and people feel like they're Because sometimes some people feel like they need something to also tap into that spirit of freedom. So the cacao is also something that also frees us up. It's called a heart opening ceremony, and that's because of the compounds that are in cacao that helps the blood vessels expand. Like you can, and when your blood vessels are expanded, you get more oxygen, similar to caffeine.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that we do. But every time we did a kirtan, it would be donation based. Sometimes the donations would help assist us because we were also just living here. But on the majority of the time, if we were able to, we would send the donations to. There's a foundation. I want to say it is in. I want to say Doisaket, but I might be wrong. It's called Care 108, and it's a children's foundation for. Thai children. Some of them are what we say are Hill tribe children. And the guy who started this foundation is a good friend of mine. And he's just been building shelter for the children as well as bringing them into town, giving them getting them clothes. He takes them on big trips to the mall, stuff like that. Things they've never experienced to help them also assimilate with the society, but also not to feel outcasted by it. So a lot of our donations would go to that. And like I said, I've also seen how the community that has built because of the medicines as well as the kirtans have made other people in that community grow so much. People who at one point felt like they couldn't even sing are now leading whole music ceremonies, things like that. So on top of the fact that the foundation that runs the place that where we used to do this, I actually have the name of it here. One of the foundations called Chiang Mai Wellbeing, and it's ran by or affiliated with Ritti Guru Singh. He's the one who was running the temple that we were at, and now he's at a different resort, and also is a part of the sacred cacao that we use. He works with his main goal right now, and this is one thing that I'm always trying to support, is to build a wellness society for Chiang Mai. And a lot of people feel right now that Chiang Mai is not so healthy because, or northern Thailand is not so healthy, I should say. And that's because of the smoky season, things like that. I wouldn't say so much about the tourism. I don't think every place has tourism. You'll always have younger people acting young and older people being like, hey, why is these young people acting like this? But mostly we're just all trying to help each other. And because at one point, and I look at him like a father figure, he's the same age as my father, but sometimes he's more of a grandfather. One time he said to me, he was just like, I'm just trying to help send better people out into the world. And I'm like, I can adopt that as my mission as well, because if I'm trying to make myself a better person, that makes my interactions with other people better. Therefore, they're going to feel better when they're going off to interact with other people.
So as I understood, like anyone, even without like music background, can come to these music circles.
100%.
How do you integrate them?
Oh, integrate them for the music circles. That's a good question. Keep coming, keep singing. So when I start the actual music circles, I tell everybody that for the next hour and a half to 2 hours, put your worries and your concerns down. Because the best way to heal is to try and be as similar to how we were as children as possible. Before we were thinking about the bills, before we were thinking about love and affairs and all of these type of things, we were just children figuring it out. And I'm like, this is the one time where you can feel like there is no judgment. So like I told you, when I started, I could not play guitar. And I still started. And I remember sitting down and seeing other people who maybe I knew they could play guitar, like I met them before, and I'm like, they're probably judging me. And even while sitting there playing, it was like almost this spiritual connection that would be like, the exact phrase I would often hear is, it's not about you. And for some people that would be like almost a negative phrase, but for me it actually really released and it was a relief for me. It's like, if you're gonna have a good time, it's going to be about you. It's not going to be about me. And so that's ultimately how I help them. I can't really say I follow up to be like, all right, so are you still on your music journey or this and this and that? The best way I can integrate you in that sense is to say, just keep on. That energy you had, keep it coming. no one's going to judge you harder than you can judge yourself.
Yeah, it's the main problem.
That's the truth of that. And and at the same time, everyone's judging themselves as well. So no, like I said, it's not about you. Even when you, one thing I can tell you as a tip in that aspect is laugh at yourself. Definitely laugh.
Yeah, it's the most difficult thing.
No, like, because no one's going to be like, oh, she's that terrible. Most people are going to be so impressed that you even chose to open your mouth to say something. You understand? Like, even just having to say that you got up and did a podcast, you know how many billions of people there are in the world that could do this in a very simple way and still are too afraid to even do that. Like, you don't have to judge yourself. You can have a day where your voice sounds terrible to you, and it still be more than someone else even ever felt that they could ever even achieve. Singing is the most endearing thing we can do with our voice. I mean, all day, most of us are talking, we're yelling, we're arguing, we're doing all of these stuff, but singing is like you said, it's the one thing that just feels like a very free expression and a very kind thing to do. Like, the universe, our world is made of vibration and sound. So if when we're singing, we're saying basically that we want to make a positive frequency. We're trying to make a positive sound.
Okay, can you please share a little bit about your neighborhood where you are living, as I understood, and also having these practices?
So right now we are at a wellness resort called Insta, like INSDA Wellness. It's up the mountain, and the initiative that we're working on is to try and make this whole road, because the road for that mountain area where we are, it goes all the way around pretty much Chiang Mai. It goes around the mountain and comes back around on in an area called Mae Rim, where we were just living before. So the initiative is to make that a wellness area where people are practicing mindful techniques. So on a weekly basis, like I said, we have our music circle, but at our actual resort area right now, there's also TRE classes on every Saturday. TRE is a trauma release exercise. And they also practice another practice called Yoga Nidra, which helps to, I'm going to say, like, these other facilitators can go delve more into that. Because my main focus I have three main focuses. I focus on the music circles, as well as sound journeys, where I play another instrument known as the handpan. My wife plays different chimes and bells, and it's all about getting our bodies back into a proper vibration. Not even just saying alignment, a proper vibration. It's been shown that sound therapy, sound healing does a lot for the mind, spirit, and the body. Where if you play certain instruments near water, you can see how the water shakes, and our bodies are made up mostly of water. Or in the sense, they say 70% water, but blood is water as well, plasma. So when we play these sound journeys, things like that, it causes more healing. So in that community right now, we're just slowly but surely we're working with other resorts as well in the area. There's a wellness space at the end of the road, right at the bottom of our mountain, known as Eudaimonia, where they do ice baths, as well as salt and Epsom salt baths and sauna and things like that. Some of these things are leisure things, where some people might feel like, oh, I can't be included in that so much because they're a leisure thing. But that is, at least in the sense for foreigners, that is one of the benefits that coming to Thailand does have for most foreigners, that Thailand has made it a more affordable thing for not just the foreigners though. Like I said, I've had great experiences where it's also been Thai people as well who've come to these type of things. Some of these places hold free events. There's also across the street from that same place is a shop that is, I wouldn't say vegan, but it is all like wellness products. That's really what we're trying to work on, is just help building that, as well as building awareness for the health of Chiang Mai. One of the big things I'm trying to start to do, I run a Facebook group right now called Free Culture. It's only got, well, I shouldn't say only, I'm grateful for the amount that it has, but it has over 1,000 members in the group. Posting different events that's going on in Chiang Mai, but I also encourage people to share their practices that make them feel better, things that excite them, share their passions on this group. But the real thing that I want people to be able to do from that is to be able to expand into other avenues that they might not have experienced before. So like that's how I knew about the contact improvisation, because one of the members of that is always posting in the free culture like, hey, come on to this contact improvisation. And I've seen reviews from other people as well as I've experienced it myself that, yeah, it's very healing.
Yeah.
For my one time of going, I had a friend where when she was leading it, at one point they did like a dance around me, and she told the participants to like pretty much like move their arms on my arms, and they're like, feel his arms, feel his hands, feel how much tension he might have. And he's a musician and he's bringing so much goodness to people. We want to help spread that, and we want to make sure his hands are healed and stuff like that. So it's a big initiative to make sure that everybody out here can find where their space, where they are necessary, where they feel like, okay, I matter here. So that's a big thing. And you know, it's weird because as humans, sometimes we'll still feel our doubts, even me. Like I said, I know how much I've also contributed to this community, but sometimes I also have what's called FOMO, or fear of missing out. And I'm still working on that. But I know it's not something that I'm going to overcome overnight. It's probably something that stemmed from when I was a child, and just things that you.
Do you feel that you integrate like Thai people to your practices, to your events?
I definitely try to. Because I speak more Thai. I actually have a Thai name as well. They call me Sombat, which means like treasure, or the king's treasure. I got that name my first night here in Chiang Mai. Just a Thai woman met me. She was just like, oh my gosh. Like, she was like, something about you. Your name's Sombat. I'm like, I received that. I'm trying more and more. Like I said, we try to make sure that any event that we can, or as often as we can, that there are. The only other thing that I would actually honestly say towards that we're working towards, is to make sure that we always are giving back to the community. That's a huge thing. That's why I said I still have practices where our kirtan donations are either going back to the children of Thailand, or we're going to find some way to bring them out here. I have a student right now for my swimming classes, because I teach a water connection class. It's not really swimming classes. Let me be very clear. It's called Water Connection, where I'm getting people back to water. A lot of people have a lot of fear.
Wow.
So it's kind of a mixture of aerobics, play, and yoga. I have a Thai student right now. She comes for free. I met her mom. Her mom is in the area where I live as well. She runs a shop on her own. Well, she has a partner or husband, and she runs a shop. And I just said like, you can come to our resort. You can. I'll teach your daughter to feel good in the water. She's a little 8-year-old girl, amazing personality, and that's the type of stuff that we do. It's the most simplest thing I can do at this point, and I hope one day to be able to do even more. And that's why I love to partner with more people who are already in the same avenue of trying to be well in more ways than just physical. So.
How do you think exactly creative activities like music and storytelling help make neighborhood connections stronger?
So I've learned a lot of with my music, I've learned a lot of new mantras. I didn't know anything about, like I said, Hinduism. I didn't know anything about Buddhism. And Thailand is a Buddhist country. And I've learned some of the chants, the sutras. One that I sing often is called the Heart Sutra, which is it's a part of the Heart Sutra. It's a long thing, written out thing that's been sang and read and chanted by monks for centuries. But the main portion that we sing in our circle it goes gate para samgate bodhiswaha. And what that roughly translates to, like I said, roughly, is to go beyond your limitations, go even further than that. And once you reach that point, oh, what a great awakening, or what it is to be the enlightened one. That's roughly what the translation comes to. And I've seen how the Thai community, like one woman actually told me, she was like, oh my gosh, how do you know this? We used to sing this when we were children in school. I've just performed it at a festival in December, and Amongst other mantras, this was the one where I saw most of the crowd really involved, and some people fell right into meditation. And I've been invited to come out to more events like that. We actually have another festival at the end of February in Mesa. It's a festival called Mountain Rise Festival. There was a festival recently called the Great Gathering. It's an amazing gathering, foreigners, Thai people, locals in that area. And the locals in that area had reached out to the hostess of this new festival and was like, listen, we love this type of energy here in this area. We would like to bring more people to help support the economy here. And she took the initiative to say, well, I'll make another festival for February, which is once again another time where it's typically a start of a down season, the burning season. The best way we can do it is one person at a time.
Yeah.
And the way that I try and do that is, okay, well, if I'm going to make these changes in my life, the best thing I could possibly do right now is to also post myself online doing that. Because there's somebody out there, without trying to be ego, there's somebody out there watching my life on a video and like, wow, I want to be like him, or I wish I could be like that.
Yeah.
And I hear that a lot, especially being a quote-unquote black man in Asia, doing these music circles. I had a friend tell me recently that she showed one of her male friends, another black guy, or African guy actually from America. She showed him one of my videos where I was sitting down playing the guitar and there was a huge audience of people and people meditating, things like that. And she said he broke down in tears. And he was like, they let him do this? He can lead? He didn't even envision it for himself.
Okay.
So when he saw it, like some people can't even perceive certain things. You can't perceive certain things until you can see it, you know? So that might have already inspired him to start to do something more. So that's how I'm trying to live my life. Okay, if you see me go vegan, it's not because I'm trying to be better than you. It's because I'm trying to help myself as well as helping the world. Period. But if that managed to change your mind for the better, good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I can just agree. I think it's so important to share like really good things with the community and social media, to use like the internet for the like good things. Because
people think of the internet very negative, right?
Yeah, but it's not right actually if you know how to use it.
Yeah.
If you know where to read everything, what kind of people to follow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find it very significant. And
everything is about how you choose to use it.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
also, it's very important to have some role models for a lot of things in your life, because sometimes like you've been told to do one thing all of your like, I don't know, life in school and then in the university, but then you understand that actually there are different ways of living, different directions that you can follow. But
Exactly.
if you don't see people who do this, you even can't imagine it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to come up to these things alone. Yeah.
And this community here, the Thai community specifically, is so giving and willing. I've heard a lot of negative things from some foreigners about doing like their dealings with trying to do business with Thai people. That has not been my experience. I've lived here for 7 years. During the COVID pandemic, after the lockdown ended, I had another Thai friend. She just owned a little juice shop. And she was telling me, she was like, yeah, I'm gonna take some of my money from my juice shop and I'm gonna go and help feed the homeless, buy them some ramen, stuff like that. And I was just like, let me know how much you would like. I would love to assist with that. And I gave her that day, I think something like 5,000 baht, and she was just like, oh my goodness. Do you know how many Thai people will be able to live off of this during that time? And like, if I know you weren't here, but during that time, they genuinely had like lines, like food lines, where the military would help and they would give Thai people or citizens who needed it. I think they would give them like a cup of noodles as well as like some juice and stuff like that. But okay, might not be the best thing, but we are all trying to do something. And that's the small things. There's a lot of foreigners who come here, and we know we make more, especially if we have a job from outside. One of the key things that me and my wife have put into practice from the moment we came to Thailand, after watching videos and this and that and seeing foreigners say, oh no, well, this Thai person is trying to charge me 60 baht for this mango, and over here I know I can get it for 30 baht. We said that we took it upon ourselves that we would never argue with Thai people about the prices of any of their things. If we can't afford it, we just can't afford it. That's okay. But if you come up to me, if I take a red truck right now and I say, okay, you take me back to the mountain, and he says, okay, that's going to be 1,000 baht to take you to the mountain. Yes, in Thai terms, 1,000 baht, it sounds like a lot to say, oh no, I can get a Grab for 200. But if I was back in Miami, that 35 US dollars couldn't even get me down the street.
Yeah.
And I'm telling this man to take me an hour and a half up the mountain. So I'm like, the one thing I can do to give back, I know this culture isn't big on tipping, but we tip. You have to have gratitude. You have to be grateful for the things like that. You know, one of the big practices, I want to say, of Buddhism as well as Hinduism is karma. Where it's like, no, what I put out into the world is what I'm going to receive. That's why when I told you, when we were speaking earlier, and I asked you about like audience, and you were like, oh, well, you know, I don't have a big following. I was like, I don't care. You're putting forth the energy. The universe sees that. And ultimately, as long as you're consistent, more people will come.
Yeah.
Always. If that's what your goal is. If it's just something where you want it to just be a passion project and it's like, I don't really care if anybody even watches, but I still got to put it out there, that's great too. I have projects like that as well.
Yeah. How would you describe the sense of community in Chiang Mai, and what makes it unique compared to other places? I know you lived just in Miami before.
Yeah, pretty much just in Miami. I would spend like summers back in the islands, like in the Bahamas or Jamaica, but only pretty much just in Miami. The difference with Miami is 100% the pace. Chiang Mai, I've seen people come here and want to move fast. Because that's the world we come from, where it's like, oh, like I said, everything is instant, or you're trying to start a business, things like that. And something about, maybe it's the mountains or whatever, you stay here for a week, you stay here for 2 weeks, you start to see people slowing down in a beneficial way. The word, I guess, would be is becoming more mindful.
Yeah. Literally,
I've seen that happen. So the community here, that makes it a little bit different is almost everybody starts out here coming straight as either party boys or party girls, that everybody wants to go out and see the old city and things like that. And by like the end of the month, if they are still interested in Chiang Mai, by the end of the month they are either riding a scooter and just stopping on the side of the road and just being like, wow, look at this nature. I'm around nature. Or they're on a bicycle and doing the same type of stuff. So the community here has a very nice mix of what I would say is like Buddhist spirituality that it really permeates, like it really affects the land and the area around here. Like I said, I've spent some time down in Bangkok. I just did a performance down there, and yeah, for as slow as the traffic is, everything feels like, oh my gosh, hold on, you know, like why am I moving so fast? But no, here it's just like, you know what? I should wake up in the morning and spend an extra 30 minutes just stretching my body. Even my mom, you know, bless her heart, she's here. But when she came, she kind of got like a bad medical diagnosis. And that's just from years of just lack of care. And like I said, we weren't educated as much in the States, at least from my avenue of community. My mom's straight from the islands. And she's a wise woman, like she was a nurse for her whole life, but that was all she knew. She just worked, and never was like, oh, let me stretch, let me do this and that. She came here and spent 6 months with me. She learned how to swim. She got so many different practices. She's stretching. Now she's staying with my brother, and he's taking care of her as well. It's just, this place ultimately gives back to the people. It gives themselves back to them. Like, look, listen, how much do you actually need? Because when I was in the States, I wanted to be a pop star. Literally, I used to go. I got signed to a record label. My idea was to be the next Lenny Kravitz.
Wow.
Yeah. But then when I got over here, like I said, those 3 years, I wouldn't say it was a hard time for me and my wife to stay in our house and just focus on us. It was actually great. It was great years of just being like, you know what, just let's just relax. How often do we get the chance to just really take this time? And it was wonderful at the same time because, yeah, we had to deal with some different issues. Our families were helping us out to be able to stay. And I'm forever grateful to them for that. But it was necessary because we don't take that time to detox.
Yeah.
And our minds need detoxing just like our bodies. Most people don't fast. We don't fast from social media. We don't fast from food, and everything else is fast. You understand?
Yeah.
We don't fast, but everything we do is fast. Well, that's how you burn out. I'm not trying to encourage people to burn out, and Chiang Mai itself doesn't seem like that either. Like, there's a lot of spaces here that could have just as big of a population or popularity as Bangkok or anywhere south of here, but it seems like maybe the government here or the people here, or the communities here are just like, no, we don't want to allow that. You know?
Yeah, I love it as well. For the week while I'm here, I had so many talks about like happiness, a sense of living, mindfulness, and it's cool. Like I don't even like I don't initiate them. I just get them just because there are some people who come here for it, for these conversations, for learning. I guess it will be my last question. Maybe you have some advice or recommendations to others who want to foster stronger communities in their neighborhoods, and maybe even like someone who want to create this stronger community through such creative practices as yours.
Yeah.
What can you say to them?
So my number one thing, and I know this is gonna be cheesy, but genuinely be yourself and stop judging yourself. So that's the message for you.
For me.
And it's for you, but it's also for everybody else. The things you love don't always require money. The people that you want to meet don't always require you to travel. You understand? You can, if you put yourself out there and understand that, most humans in this world operate through a mask of pain. Some type of, and that pain is what we call our biases. Some type of trauma, some type of issue is the first thing that they come up to. You understand? The first thing that comes up in their interactions. I hear it all the time from different avenues and aspects of life. But if you go out there and understand that, then you'll be more accepting of people's behavior. Like I said, you won't be angry every single time that somebody cuts you off on the road. You'll be like, you know, at the end of the day, maybe that person's stomach hurts. I don't have to take that energy on and be like, oh, F this person or curse them or anything like that. Maybe that person is rushing home because they forgot something on the stove. But here I am just sitting here calling them a bad name because they cut me off. Well, maybe this is the universe telling me I should slow down. That's another key thing. My wife's always trying to tell me, she's like, slow down. What are you racing for? Most of us are moving so fast, and we would be extremely sad when we reach the finish line and we're like, what? I didn't even get to experience that. That finish line is technically the end of life. You understand? You don't want to run through your 20s and then be like, wow, I don't even remember my 20s. No, you want to experience it every day, so take your time. That's one of the main practices. So what I actually practice now, and I've been practicing more, is genuinely, I have an intimacy practice with my wife where when we wake up in the morning, whether we're waking up for work or just waking up in the morning, we try to spend 30 minutes in the bed either just holding each other or just talking to each other. Doesn't have to be anything sexual or anything like that, but genuinely, because once the day actually gets started, she's thinking about her life and her tasks. I'm thinking about my life and my tasks, and it's hard for us to stop and be like, hey, let's cuddle, let's hug for 30 minutes, you know? So that's how we start our days, and that's been amazing. I've started my days after that now. Once I get up, I understand that my body had just been in a death state for a long time, and if you don't get yourself back, if you don't revive yourself and you go out into the world, you're gonna come out to people like a zombie. You understand? Zombies are pure rage and aggression. They always want to just bite and take and eat. And so I go ahead and I hydrate myself, tell myself any positive affirmations that I need for that day. I have simple mantras. Actually, I use AI sometimes to help me with creating, I call them invocations or magic spells. But that's words are magic, so I right now my chat GPT helps me speak Atlantean.
Wow. Nice.
So I write to ChatGPT what I want to maybe say. Okay, today I want to create a magic spell of words where it'll help me become a better provider, a better husband, and help increase my music. And ChatGPT will help me write it out in Atlantean or whatever language I want it to, and then I'll practice. Either read it out loud if it's in characters that I understand, or I'll have it read it to me, and then I'll practice like that. So that's one of the things I start in the mornings off with. And one major thing, as we mentioned at the start of this, that I am very heavily on my ancient Kemetic or ancient Egyptian. I sun gaze. So I spend the morning looking at the sunrise as best as possible, either with my eyes open or my eyes closed. And I feel like I get a lot of insight, but without it being super spiritual, the main thing I get is just a calmness over my spirit. Like, you made it out of the darkness of the night. This is a brand new day.
Yeah.
Literally, it's a brand new day.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Those are some of the simplest practices. I don't blame people around the world for the way that they want to live their lives. Yes, sometimes people live lives that hurt other people. But at the end of the day, and this is a hard statement to ultimately say, at the end of the day, everybody is doing the best they can. That's how I feel about it, at least. And someday, we hope that they will do better than they are currently doing. Like I said, when I was 120 kilos, that was the best I could be at where I was living and how I was living. But I hope that one day I would become this version of me. And today, I'm like, man, I gotta make some changes in my life. I gotta do this, and that. I gotta be more kind to other people. Why am I feeling grumpy about this? You know how much blessings you have in your life? How much blessings I have? All I'm saying is that we have to practice being grateful for who we currently are while still striving to be the next better version of ourselves. So it doesn't actually matter what the practice is that you adopt. Like I said, these are my practices. These are just some small things that I'm doing. But for you, it could be as simple as every day I'm going to turn on this microphone and I'm going to talk into this microphone. If it's making you feel better about you and the way you live your life, please continue doing it. You see, when people are drowning, I love ocean metaphors. When people are in the ocean drowning, things like that, I cannot say, oh, I'm going to save you. I'm going to save Darya first. No, because I'm drowning. I need to make sure I get my head above the water. And then as soon as I'm able to, if I catch my breath, now I can think about helping others. But most of us are going to be too caught up in our own concerns if we don't take care of that first to ever even care to be kind to each other. I can't be kind to someone else if I'm sitting here saying I'm eating the wrong things, my stomach hurts. That's why, like I said, a lot of people aren't drinking enough water and aren't eating enough food or aren't eating the proper food. So most people are going through their lives in the world with gastrointestinal issues, got a stomach ache or they're hungry or something, and now you're expecting them to come want to give you a hug. They're just like, leave me alone. So we have to start with ourselves.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I don't know, I had gas bumps a couple of times. Can I hug you?
Thank you for this.
I don't know, your talk is like mantra, already your talk. Without any special sounds. Thank you very much for everything that you share with community and with me, with anyone you meet, I'm sure.
Can I plug a little bit? Before?
Yeah.
So, like I said, my band, we're called Sphinx Vibe. Our website is SPHINX VIBE. We post our calendar there. My website is always under construction. I'm trying to make sure it's more beautiful and Instagrammable, I guess. We have our next cacao ceremony at our resort on the 7th of February. But February 21st through the 23rd, we will be at the Mountain Rise Festival in Maysai. It's on Facebook. The flyers and the event page is on Facebook for the real details. But this is another way to give back to the Thai community of that area. It's a waterfall area, so it's a beautiful. If you've ever been to Great Gathering or anything like that, it's a beautiful area, and this is going to help that local Thai community But other than that, you can also find me. My name's Atùm, Atum, Sphinx, the same writing, Sphinx. I'm doing music, I'm doing travel, and I'm living life as best as possible.
Hey guys, thank you for listening. Subscribe to our podcast on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Castbox, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. See you in the next episode, where we talk to the founder of an architecture studio that has been creating socially impactful projects for 15 years. Their work focuses on participatory design, helping people live better and feel more connected to their cities.